Hey, it's Jamie, and I want to ask you a question. Have you ever thought about buying streams of income? So it's funny because my good friend Ace Chapman actually ended up bringing this question up. I'm like, I have no idea what that means. How do you buy streams of income? And he's like, you don't even have to use your own money. I'm like, what the heck? That sounds like a skeezy internet scheme, right? But it's not that at all. So Ace actually buys and sells websites and businesses that are already profitable. So it's really interesting. So to him, he doesn't want just one company that you work your butt off, you do it for 5 or 10 years and you make good money. He wants different multiple streams of income. So if one starts to tank, you have other ones that can actually make up for it because this ever evolving economy is very ebbs and flows, right? So one of the things that he does is he teaches you how to buy websites that are already making money so that way you can have multiple streams of income, which I think is super cool. So go check out websitemogul.com, and he has a special offer for eventual millionaire people, of course. So go to websitemogul.com/EM to see what that is. So that way you can see how he actually creates multiple streams of income by buying them instead of creating them, because it takes a ridiculously long period of time, as you guys know, to actually create that stuff. So go check it out and go check Ace out and let me know what you think. Welcome to Eventual Millionaire. I'm Jamie Masters, and today on the show we have Ryan Stewman from hardcoreclosers.com, or Hardcore Closer. You're amazing. We've already been laughing like crazy. Thanks so much for coming on the show today.
I'm excited to be here. I think this is the first video show I've ever done with a hat on. So I feel like I'm wearing a shower cap, like I rushed to get my makeup on. So I'm digging it though.
Exactly, because I told him
a new look for me
after the fact that I was like, oh, by the way, it's video. We told you that, right? He's like, yeah, no, you didn't. Sorry about that, but it looks awesome. And I love your background. So impressed with that. So make sure if anyone's not watching the video right now that they go check it out because it is awesome, and check out his hat. Tell us what you do at hardcorecloser.com.
I sell digital products, e-learning products to salespeople, right? To in all sorts of different industries to help folks out. I've been doing this for 6 years now, almost 7 years. It's crazy how fast time flies by, But we're one of the largest providers of digital learning products to the sales force. Like, we have a lot of companies on board with us and individuals. So it's really cool. So
do you normally work with like solopreneurs or companies as far as sales, or is sales the same across the board no matter what?
No, sales isn't the same across the board, but over the years that I've been doing this, we've created different products for different. So we have stuff for solopreneurs, we have stuff for businesses, we have stuff for like car salespeople, insurance salespeople, mortgages, real estate. So we've niched it out, and adapted it into each, I guess, niche or whatever that's out there that people have asked us for. So
are we trying to get those used car salesmen to be less sleazy?
It's these days, it thinks the internet's really hard to rip somebody off on a car unless you're just like dumb enough not to go to the internet. You got to know to go to the internet, right? But yes, I'm trying to make the sales respectable. I'm like, make America great again, making sales great again, right? That's me over here. So
I really appreciate that because people know my story. I hated sales when I was younger. I worked for Kirby Vacuum Cleaner and thought all sales was stupid, and then moved in and found a mentor that actually taught me how to do sales in a ethical, awesome way. So let's actually go and dive into, because I want people at the end of this podcast to go, oh my gosh, I feel like I can take away a sales skill or two that will actually make me more money. So Ryan, please help us. What do we do if they're a solopreneur or maybe have a couple employees? What's the best number one sales skill tactic that we could do?
Well, honestly, you're probably expecting like some kind of fancy word tracks. Like, look, you say this and all of a sudden they're like, take my wallet, right? But that's not what happens. So
darn.
Honestly, the best thing that you can do in sales, because the sales is a series of agreements. The close is the part where you get paid, right? So you could be selling all the way through the whole process and then you don't get paid until you close, which is where they exchange money for whatever it is that you have. Well, what happens is a lot of people, they start selling the wrong stuff on that path to the close. And so the biggest advice that I would give anybody, and I think the most important thing about sales, is get clear on exactly who it is that you want to sell to or that can buy your product, right? Because a lot of people, they get into something like Kirby vacuums. You might think everybody that has carpet needs a Kirby vacuum. But I promise you, the people in the trailer park up the street, they don't have $1,200 for a vacuum, nor do they want to clean their place. You know what I mean? And so you want to make sure that the language you use when you are putting your sales pitch in the sales process you're on runs those people off and attracts the right people you want. And so again, it's not some kind of fancy set of word tracks or whatever. The best advice is like, you need to get clear on exactly who it is that you can sell to or that can buy your product, and then make sure you're inside their head and do everything you can to make sure they buy your stuff.
Okay, so how do we find those right people? A lot of people ask that question.
So think about that's a great question too, right? So how do you find out who it is? Well, there's like a what do they call them? There's a prototype, right? There's a person that is out there that your company sells to over and over again. Sometimes we sell to just men. Sometimes we sell to just ladies. Sometimes we sell to people that are in the fit industry, right? It might be someone who works out, or it might be someone. So you have an idea. The best way, if you're already making sales, is to think about like the last 15 or 20 sales that you made, and the people that you like working with, write down their qualities and why you like working with them. And the people that drove you nuts that you wish that you wouldn't have taken their money, write down what drove you nuts about them. And then you start getting real clear on what you want from the good customers and what you don't want from the bad customers. And you'll use that language accordingly. Like, for example, when I first started, my sales pitch was, and I started off with loan officers only. And I was like, hey, if you're not closing at least $2 million a month in mortgages, then fill out this form for a free strategy session, right? And I wasn't really clear on who that was other than somebody that was struggling. And that isn't who I want to work with, man. I get a whole bunch of leads and everything, but then the problem was none of them had any money. And I bet a bunch of solopreneurs listening to this or watching this right now go through the same thing. They're like, I get a bunch of leads and nobody has any money. So I changed my pitch up completely. And I said, hey, listen, if you're not doing at least $2 million a month, then I don't want to work with you. Please don't waste my time and fill out the form. Well, I went from like 100 leads a day to 3, but guess what? I would make 2 sales, right? Because I got clear exactly. I was like, hey, out of all these hundreds of applications that I'm taking, I'm certain I don't want these people anymore. So I switched it up. Next thing you know, the sales actually become easy because I'm actually doing something for the right person with the right product and everything else.
I love how you use the copywriting on that side, because usually people will go, well, how do I know who actually has the money to pay me? Especially, let's say your niche is like service professionals and you're like, well, I have no idea how much money they actually made. So that way I don't know if they have enough money to pay me or not before I hop on the phone with them. So how else can we figure that out?
Well, so, I'm pretty blunt. We, in our applications, it says you must be making at least 20 grand a month to be able to fall into this program, or 50 grand a month to fall into this program. So we're pretty selective about how we do stuff, kind of like you're selective on who you have on the show here, right? You like had me write a bunch of stuff down about how much money I had and all this other stuff. So we're kind of the same way, because we know that you're going to have to get in, you're going to have to buy technologies, you're going to have to run advertising campaigns, because people don't just know who you are. There's like all these other stuff that is involved in sales in the modern marketplace, right? Sales isn't just hey pal, what brought you in today anymore, right? It's like getting on the internet, getting in front of people, getting a message out of there, getting them on the phone, having a conversation with them, and getting some money from them in exchange for the product that they want to buy from you. And so one of the best things to do is like be very specific in the language that you use, who it's for and who it's not for. I used to say in my blog posts, I don't have to do this anymore because it's assumed at this point. But when I was first starting out as a solopreneur, my main thing was I would say, hey, listen, if you're lazy, if you don't like to work, if you're looking for a push button scheme, if you're looking for something that's going to be only a couple hours a week that you're going to have to get into, I'm not your guy. Please don't fill out the form because this won't work for you. Meanwhile, if you're one of those like guys that likes to work 12 hours a day for 90 days straight and punish yourself until you're done with something, we're going to get some done, right?
It's so important to be able to qualify, because I remember when I first hopped online too, I was like, oh, leads. And then after hours on the phone of like helping people, that was nice, and making no money at all, I was like, oh, this is learn my lesson. I'm not going to do that again. And so the hard thing is a lot of people go, I don't want to ask people how much money they're making, or I don't want to be that specific. I loved how you specifically said, if you're lazy. How do we figure out what those things are so that way we only talk to those people?
Perfect. So I get it. In the beginning, I didn't want to ask people how much money they made either. At this point, I'm like, if you don't fit, you don't fit.
Yeah, exactly.
But in the beginning, you got to be a little bit more selective, right? Because you're looking to make testimonials out of people and everything else. So what you can do is you can figure out the per transaction cost of every deal that they do. So what I do, even sometimes today, if somebody gets on the phone, I'll say, how many insurance policies you write in a month? If they say 90, I know the average policy is $200, then they're making almost 20 grand a month. They're doing good, right? And so like if they say, oh, I'm only writing 20, then I'm thinking, oh, they're probably making 2,500 to $4,000 a month. They're not a fit, you know? And so that same thing, somebody gets on the phone with me, is like, hey, how many mortgages did you write last month? 3? Unless they're in California, it's probably not going to fit the deal. So, and people don't mind telling you how many deals they did. They don't like to tell you like about sexual stuff between them and their significant other. They don't like to tell you what's in their bank account, but they don't mind telling you how many deals they did last month. And so it's like really minimally invasive to ask somebody that stuff. And they're usually relieved that you didn't ask them about money. And they're like, oh yeah, I did 3 deals last month. Thank God you didn't ask me about money or who I was going to vote for.
Seriously. It's funny. We ask, especially if they have a day job, what your day job is. You can actually look up whatever their job is and find out how much money they make anyway. So thank goodness we have the internet nowadays. So tell me about this though, because I love the pre-qualification that you have. But when we start backing up a little bit more, we also get asked the question, well, how do you even get those people to your website to read the thing that says that? Do you guys talk about that, or do you only talk about the close?
No, so the close is like really the given part. In all reality. And so what I believe is like the sale is broken down into segments like this. You got the first sale is for them to read whatever headline is on your advertisement, right? Or maybe see a picture or video if that's the case. The second sale is to get them to do whatever that headline tells them to do, which is probably see the rest of the advertisement, whether it be on Facebook, Google, or whatever. The third sale after that is to get them to follow the call to action, right? In the advertisement, you told them to do something, click a link, watch a video, whatever the case may be. The fourth sale is when they get to that page for them to read the entire page or watch the entire video or whatever else. Fifth sale is for them to do the call to action on that. Maybe check out, maybe fill out a strategy session, whatever that is. And then the sixth sale is once you're in contact with them, is getting them to confess whatever their real problem is, right? The seventh sale is getting them to reveal that they need help from you, right? And then the last one is when you're like, okay, I can solve your problem, and ask them for the business. And that's the close, right? But we've had to go like 8, 9 steps to be able to make it. And it may be 20 steps in your business, right? It just depends on what you do for a living. But we've had to go significant amount of steps before we earn the right to close. And so many people are like, hello, hey, give me some money and I'll sell you this product, right? They skipped all those like 8 steps in the middle and they go right to the end and wonder why they don't make any money.
See, no wonder people are probably having aha moments going, no wonder why I can't sell crap, because there's 9 steps that I haven't even been able to get them through yet. So I really appreciate you putting it sort of in that. We talk about like conversions and stuff, but that means then you have to be an expert at every step of the way. How can you help us get better at all of those steps?
Well, selling is selling, right? And so you just have to break it. So this is the funniest thing. I have like last week, as a matter of fact, I had 55 entrepreneurs that paid around $5,000 a ticket to be here at an event that we did. So it was like a pretty good size high-end event that I run 4 times a year called Break Free Academy. And one of the first things I have everybody do is write down their sales process, that outline that I just gave you for their business, right? And what happens is once you write that down, guess what? When you hire somebody else, you're like, here's our process. Mm-hmm. Right. And so not only are you clear, which we talked about earlier, you're clear on who you want to work with and how you're going to get them to work with you. Now you've also got a duplicatable system that's real easy. Didn't take any like huge brain power to be able to hand to the next person when you pass the baton down for them to start running. Right. And, you know, it's interesting thing about sales. We tend to overcomplicate everything. We tend to try to explain all this like back end structure and everything else, but we don't have to. It's like the simple things that move forward. But you'd be surprised, all these people that are making 100 grand, 200 grand a month that come to these events, they have never even thought about breaking down that sales process. And it's not that you have to be an expert across advertising or anything else. You're like, if I was them, you just put yourself in their shoes, right? Like if I was, let's say you're a mortgage person and you want to work with somebody who wants to refinance their house. Let's just give that as an example. That nobody's like scrolling through Facebook going, I want to look at refi my house. I'm going to refi my house. There it is. That's the ad, right? That's the one I was looking for. If that's the case, they're like on Google. And then again, when they type in refinance my house, there's hundreds of sites that show up on that front page, all the ads and everything else. It's very competitive, right? So what you want to do is like you would run an ad that was like, bills stressing you out, leverage your house to bail yourself out of debt. Right? That's a little bit of something else. Or if somebody's like, wanting to buy a house, we know they need a real estate agent. But instead of being like, hi, I'm Ryan, use me as your real estate agent, we're like, hey, looking for houses, use this website to find out the top 10 available houses and the best deals in the marketplace today, right? We're thinking, what would they want, right? If someone is wanting to refinance their house, they need more money, most likely it's debt. So if they see an ad that's like, get out of debt and leverage your house, no money out of pocket, I'm like, dude, this is exactly my problem because I need extra money, right? They're not sitting around thinking refinance my house or my car or any of that stuff. Same thing. So that's the first sale. The second sale is to show them compassion and get them to obviously follow the process that we outlined. And it's not that you have to be an expert on every level. Think of it as individual sales. It's like, okay, how would I sell them to look at this ad? Okay, cool. Now they looked at it. How am I going to sell them on reading what I wrote here? Okay, cool. I'm selling them on reading that. How am I going to sell them into this? Like, just think of it as individual sales, because when you micronize stuff, it makes things a lot easier. Now, a lot of people hearing this, they may think, well, you have to be an expert on level. Again, they're going from step 1 to step 9. If they're worried about being an expert at every level, they're skipping those 8 steps in between, because if you just make that sell and compartmentalize, it makes it actually really easy.
So what happens if they're going, okay, I totally conceptualize, I understand the 8 steps, and yet I feel like nobody's getting past step whatever, 2, 3, and then they're stuck and they're like, I'm not an expert at this. Apparently my position, something's wrong and it's not working. What's the best way for them to start figuring that out?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the good thing is, if you have 8 steps, let's say, in your process, and you realize that everybody's dropping off on step 3, that's the sale that you're blowing, right? You need to figure out what's wrong with that. Maybe you're not offering them what they want. Maybe you made it about you too quick. Maybe you're already trying to pre-sell them and they see it because it's blatant or something like that. But you need to work on that one individual step, right? Because the first 2 steps work because you're getting traffic down the line. Then once you get that up and running, they may make another 2 steps and you may have another broken part of your sales circuit. The key is to fix it and tweak it. And then it's just like having for those of us that do online stuff, having a sales funnel, right? When you're testing stuff, you're like, we got traffic to this page and then it significantly dropped off. Well, this page sucks. Let's fix it and make sure it does a better job of selling people into staying on. It's all the same thing.
Though this is the thing that's a huge pain in the butt about sales funnels too, right? Is that you don't totally know who you're getting towards the end, right? Until they fill out the form that says, I make $200,000 a month or whatever it is, you don't know, even though your sales are technically or your conversions or whatever it is are working as we're going through, you don't know who we're getting until we actually get the people on the other side. So this is what I see with people. They'll even super simple sales funnels like this, like add to whatever. It feels like a ridiculously long process, right? To really get all the steps even working enough. Because let's say we have 8 steps, we have 5 people go through the whole process, and none of them are really, really great fits. Then you're not sure where in that sales funnel it's messed up for that. Does that make sense? So like, I just see so many people frustrated with this side where they're like, okay, I feel like I got the pieces. We got some movement in between, but I have no idea how to diagnose. And this is, of course, a high level question. It depends on who this is. But what do you have for advice on how we can start trying to deconstruct what's working and what's not working?
Well, actually, it's kind of like my loan officer offer that I was talking about. If people are just sliding through, you're probably not being harsh enough on your offer and you're probably being too general, right? Because like I said, I went from 100 leads a day down to about 3 to 5 leads a day. Wow. And at first I was scared to death. I'm like, oh shoot, dude, I'm used to getting 4 or 5 leads an hour. Like, what's going on here? Nobody likes me anymore. That offer is going to kill my whole program. I'm going to have to file bankruptcy. I'm going to have to jump off a bridge. It's going to be the end of the world, right?
Yes.
Then all of a sudden, when I called him, I was like, dude, I only made 1 call today and I closed the guy. And then the next day I was like, I made 2 calls today and they were both on board, like no questions asked. And, that's when I realized that I had carried the same message. If somebody's got people sliding through that don't fit the program, they need to figure out, so maybe you're saying, hey, free video, free series, free consultation, free strategy session. You get a bunch of free people showing up. You can't be mad at them, right? You keep giving them a bunch of free stuff. They'd be a sucker not to take advantage of it. The problem is you keep offering free stuff. Maybe it should be free video, $5 for this, $27 for that, and then $1,000 to get on a strategy session or whatever the case. I don't do free strategy sessions anymore. If somebody wants to get on the phone with me, it's $1,000. You know what that does? That runs off 99.9% of the people out there. Most people be scared. They'd be like, but you're running off 99% of people you could have sold something to. It's like, yeah, but I only got to deal with the 1 or 2% that actually want to take action and do something. Because if they're willing to give me $1,000 to get on the phone with me, chances are they want to do something a little bit bigger than $1,000 phone call.
Heck yes. Okay, so tell me how you get those people to know, like, and trust you, especially at the beginning. Do you know what I mean? If they don't necessarily, they must know that or think that you have the answer in order to pay you $1,000 for hopping on the phone.
Here's where most people fail. And I realized this early on in the game. Fortunately, I realized it on accident. It's not like I was analyzing data. It's like I was smoking on my pen and everything. Like there was nothing like that, right? But I realized that it took 8 months for someone to trust me, and it still takes about 6. And even with the 115,000 Facebook fans and 21,000 Instagram fans, like we have a big following at Hardcore Closer, and it's still like it takes 4 to 6 months right now. And before we had this huge following, which has happened in the last year, like the wave is tipped in the last year to see what you see in front of you. Before that, it was a struggle. A year ago, it was a struggle to make bills and stuff, like because I was investing so much into the company, right? Like the company was making 50 grand a month for the last 3 years prior to this last year, but I was dumping every dollar I could back into the company because I would see it grow. Now we're making 400 grand a month. So it's like a complete game change within the last year because I've been able to scale this thing. So, in matter of fact, this is the first video interview I've done from my new office with the Benjamin Franklin behind me and all that stuff. So,
Okay, I have 1,000 questions on this, but continue. 6 months. How'd you
all
figure
right.
out the 6 month thing?
So 6 months, because they would get on the phone, they'd be like, man, I've been following you 6 months. And those would be the people that bought. Right? The new people would just kind of call me and they would heckle me. They're like, I just want to see if you was a real closer or not. I'm like, but if you don't want to work with me, I don't want to work with you. Like, that's not a closer thing, right? We're going to teach you how to close, like, but we're going to be friends and stuff, or it's not going to work out for the two of us, you know?
Yeah.
And, but anyway, so I realized that people would say, hey, man, I've been following you for 8 months. I'd be like, yes, they're at the tipping point. They're about to buy, right? Most people switch their offer up 50 freaking times within 8 months. And then the people that would come to them and would normally have been that 8 point, because they're looking for consistency from you. They're coming to you. I mean, I've consistently been Ryan, the hardcore closer, Stewman, for 6 years now, right? They see that as consistently. I've consistently blogged. I've consistently put out podcasts. So even when someone shows up, that 8 months went down to 4 because they can see all the amount of material that's still been the same. And I've still been on the same consistency with the same damn offer since 2010, right? And so, but most people, they can't even keep the same offer 8 months because they go for a couple of weeks and they're like, it doesn't work. And then they kill it and they come up with another one like, this doesn't work either. And then the next thing you know, the whole marketplace that's been watching them, they're like, dude, I'm totally confused with what Ryan's doing over there. So I'm not buying anything from him, but I'm going to go through his funnel and try to ask him what the hell he's doing. So at least I can try to help him out, but I'm not buying nothing from him because it's not consistent. And so that was what was fortunate for me, was I'm just hard headed enough to stay consistent for 8 months, because there's like 3 phases with my clients. And I know this like the back of my head. Phase 1 is, this guy's a complete douchebag. Who is this in my newsfeed? Right? They think that about me. That's their first impression, always, like, this dude's full of, whatever, douchebag, right? The second thing is, oh, but wait, he's actually saying something that's kind of, well, I wonder what else he's got around here. And the third one is, I'll be damned, he's right. He's actually not that bad. It's like, those are the 3 phases that everybody goes through that sees me for the first time. And sometimes it takes 4 to 8 months. And back in the day, it took 8 months to be able to build that, oh, dude, he's right. He's not going anywhere kind of thing.
That's amazing. Okay, so many questions having to do with what you just said. So, number one, I love that everybody thinks you're a douchebag at first. I think that's great. At least I got that going for me. Nobody thinks that for me at first. It's way easier to get people like me. At least I'm aware. And seriously, that's the thing I think a lot of people don't understand. And so you actually knowing that and being cool with that is very impressive, number one. But number two, I loved how you said there was like this tipping point for you specifically. So what was that tipping point? How'd you go from 50,000 a month to 400,000? What did you guys actually do that made a difference?
So, well, that didn't happen overnight. We just kept climbing. I'm like a blue chip stock. I'm not trying to, I've seen a lot of people have meteoric rises and that thing fall right back down the Atlantic Ocean, and I don't want to be that. I just want to be somebody who has consistent growth. And so that's what we've done since 2010. But in the last, let's say 18 months, and really in the last year, it's turned up. The thing that allowed me to go from 50 grand was I started selling digital products. I used to just do coaching. So I had a tribe of people that paid 30 grand a year. And then, I had their residuals coming in. I had quite a few people there. And then it took some support staff and stuff like that to pay and things like that. But I had so many recordings that I was like, why don't I just turn these into products and organize them and start selling them. And then I hired and trained an outside sales team like that I took in that works full time for me, put a CRM in place and trained all of them. And now they sell digital products in what we call the elevator to the top. Somebody may buy a book for $10 or a training program for $27 or a training program for $1,000. But whatever level they get on the elevator at, we take them to the next sale. So when somebody buys something from us for $100, we call them back 2 weeks later. We're like, what's up, boss? Did you make some money from that? Is everything working well for you? Hey, listen, if you like that, you can bolt on this other service with these autoresponders and stuff like that. And then what happens is you get even more traffic. So the deals you're doing now escalate. Because if we try to sell them top of the line, what we have from the beginning, that's like taking someone that's in kindergarten and trying to tell them, here's how you pass the bar exam. Right.
That makes so much sense. So you're getting the leads up front. They're starting to know, like, and trust you enough to spend $2,700 or whatever. But then you actually hop on the phone and talk to them, which nobody really does. Because in this digital space, everyone's like, oh, we just put them through a funnel and all will be well in the world. But you actually call them.
Oh, you wouldn't believe what we do. Like, we treat people like gold, even for $27. This is what happens. So for $27, you buy the product, you schedule the time to get on the phone with one of our concierge people, and they make sure you know how to use the digital product and what the videos are about.
I
like we want you to win, right? And then from there, my team follows up with you 2-3 weeks later, and they're like, hey, did you make any sales from that? Do you have any questions from me? Awesome. We'd like to invite you to have exclusive access to XYZ program, and we'll even credit your $27 towards that. Then they get back on the phone. Concierge walks them through how to use the program again. Like, we treat them like gold all the way up to our $30,000, which is our top line product. Does everybody buy the $30,000? Of course not, right? We have like 60 people that are on that program right now. So it's not a huge program. It's numbers wise it is, but it's not like a lot of people that are on that. But in our Break Free Academy program, which is really where most people stop, which is between $2,000 and $5,000, depending on how you do it, there's 600 people back there on that program. So, that most of them started off with $27, and then they bring their offices. They're in mortgage, real estate, insurance, car sales. There's other people around them. They give referrals. They invite their people. It's like we created this whole little feeding frenzy now.
See, I'm so impressed that you're actually having both online and offline tactics, because I feel like a lot of people are like, digital, that's where it is. And I grew up, well, my mentor way back when was sort of an offline, like, this is how you do it kind of guy. And being able to marry the two and actually check in on people is huge. Real companies do that. Not like this digital marketing, like internet skeezy. We're just trying to get your $27 and like whatever I can do to try and convince you to go higher and higher with 1,000 emails and gosh darn sales letters. So how many salespeople do you have on your team, and what are they consistently doing every day? Just randomly calling people or scheduling stuff or what?
No, so I have about 8 salespeople on my team, but they're not all in direct sales. So we have 2 levels. We have the customer service department, which is calling people that haven't bought from us and asking them why. Is everything okay? Our good. Why aren't you buying it? Right? A little nicer than that, but you get what I'm saying, right?
Good. Come on, dude.
And then we have the frontline sales guys that we get about 300 leads a day. And so they're trying their best to call, email, and reach out, but it's not autoresponders. It's like real people. My top sales guy, Johnny, closed like $140,000 in sales last month for me. So like we've got guys that are, but here's the thing, like, Jamie, I made more money than I thought I would ever really make. Right. And I got nicer stuff than I should probably own. But my mission when I got in this business there's like 300 million salespeople out there. And everybody that's leading them is wearing like a suit and tie and talking about how they should go to church on Sunday, shouldn't smoke weed, shouldn't be drinking scotch, you shouldn't be doing like all these things we're supposed to do as salespeople, drink scotch, smoke weed. How are we going to deal with this stress, right? We got all these people telling us to get in church on Sunday. Sunday's my only day off, and you want me to do something else? And so I wanted to be like the real voice for salespeople, which a lot of people, everybody knows about it. Nobody wants to talk about it, right? I come from a real checkered past, and it's pretty much an open book on that on the internet. So I just like got it out there, and I've been able to connect with so many more people. So at this point, even if somebody doesn't buy our $27 deal and they read one of my 2,000 blog posts and they never say anything to me, the fact that I help them maybe shift their mind or maybe go make another couple sales, even if they're across the pond or on the other side of the planet or whatever the case, even if somebody is in other planets reading our stuff, if I help them in some way, that's what it's about at this point, more than the money. And I wanted to be something that was different. I wanted to speak a different language than the other guys. I wanted people to see when I showed up that I was covered in tattoos and didn't have a suit on, that I'm just in a t-shirt getting back from a CrossFit workout, which is what most salespeople do. And they hate suits, right? So I'm like, we all hate them. Why would I quit my job wearing a suit as a suit person in a suit organization and then come over here and then put one on again when I hated that stuff when I worked for somebody else? Why would I hate it working for me? No, I'm gonna wear a t-shirt and shorts.
Seriously. Yeah.
And that's kind of the dream for salespeople, right? To be able to sell enough in any corporate company to be able to dress and act and walk and talk how you want.
Yes, my mentor made me wear suits and red lipstick, and I was 24, and I was like, no, not cool. I can do whatever the heck I want. Hence, you start your own business. All right, so tell me, and we live in such an amazing world that we can actually put out free content, have people read it, whether we know who they are or not, we can affect people. That's utterly amazing. But let me ask you this, because you're getting a ridiculous amount of leads. Where right now is the best place for you to get leads? Is it Facebook ads, Google? Like, are you doing a lot of paid advertising? I know you're doing content marketing too. What's sort of the most bang for your buck for where you're going right now?
Well, so I have about 50 sources of traffic. I spend a lot of money on this stuff. Okay. And first of all, you can tell who's on your website. There's a software called Kickfire. And it's about $500 a month. Tell them the closer sent you. They love me. And it's caller ID for your website. So they don't even have to convert and become a lead. And you have their contact information because it cross-references their IP with their Facebook and LinkedIn and everything. Oh, dude, it's gangster. So we call people
because we like retarget, but then you don't actually have their email. So then you have to try and retarget on Facebook. You
get it all.
Yeah. Is that weird? Do you like call people or you email? What do you do?
Yeah, we call them. We're like, hey, man, we've seen that you're on our website 15 times, dude. We just want to reach out and help you. And they're like, whoa. Dude, I'm on your website. Like, we're that good. Right. And then there's that moment where it's like, dude, take my money. I want to be like y'all. That's what happens. They're
Tell me your secret sauce.
We call general managers and we're like, dude, there's 15 people from your sales team logging on a daily basis. Your people are starving for this. Let us do a free webinar. And then we pitch everybody. So like we got a crazy system. We got a machine that I've built, but so you can check into that. Now for my traffic sources, I use Google, Facebook, LinkedIn. I have my own contributor column for entrepreneurs. So like what Gary Vee has, I've been a contributor for Entrepreneur for like 2 years. And then they're like right now constructing my own personal author profile or whatever, publisher profile or whatever, right? So they're going to put all my YouTube videos and everything on Entrepreneur. They're doing the same thing for me on Huffington Post. They're doing the same thing for me on Forbes. They're doing the same thing for me on Addicted to Success, right? So
I know, Joe.
They've got all those set up really well. It turns out his editor is from Dallas too.
So no way, really? Oh, that's awesome. Tell me though how it's actually working for you. So a lot of people are like, "Ooh, I finally got an entrepreneur. I've had a bunch on Huffington Post and gotten like literally like 12 people coming to my site." So tell me more about like if that's actually giving you traffic that works. I know it's great for freaking credibility, but numbers wise, is it actually working for you?
I write really good headlines. One of my articles on Entrepreneur is like how I went from the penitentiary to the penthouse. Like it has like, 20,000 shares on it. People are going to read that. I'm writing outrageous headlines, right? I was like, hey, when you want to give up right before you're about to pull the trigger, stop because of this, right? Like I put clickbait shit on there, everything. Like I pulled no bars whatsoever when it comes to that stuff. So we get pretty good traction on it. And usually Entrepreneur will put me on the front page of their website, even before I had the contributor column, because it would be trending because we would write really good headlines. You can see they're all still up there, but and again, when somebody else has written about me and like I've been in Inc. and some of these other ones, it hasn't had the same effect as me writing it myself, because then Entrepreneur wants to lift me up, which then sends traffic to my site because people are like, who is this dude?
Because it's so like headline, if Entrepreneur, so how to sell.
Tweets it out. They tweet it out and they put it on their Facebook page and stuff like that because they see it trending on their sites. So they want to continue to get people there, and so it helps everybody out.
See, that makes so much sense. Though. It matters.
Best place is Facebook, though.
Okay.
We're seeing in the real estate industry, we're seeing $11 a lead on average. In my business, I'm seeing $40 a lead on average. It's a little less than that, but let's just call it $40. And in my business, like I said, I'm running everybody away. It's like, don't fill this out if you're lazy, if you're broke, if you're like this problem, that problem. Like I'm the exact opposite of a drug commercial, right? I'm like trying to run everybody off. and tell everybody that this isn't for them. And so for us to still get them for $40 is pretty good. Now you got to remember, I've been spending 30 grand a month consistently on Facebook for 2 years now, almost 2 years. And I've been advertising. Well, let me rephrase. I've been spending 30 grand a month for a year now. I've been advertising at about 5 grand or more a month with Facebook for a little over 3 years, since 2013. So I've been building that for a long time, which I've really in tune with my audience. And again, the right headline, the right call to action inside the blog post when they're reading it. And you guys can check it out at hardcorecloser.com, how I do it. But like all that works together to drive a lot of traffic. And I always I've found a really cool way. I call it secret selling, right? Where I on the cool mention something I'm doing. It's like right then I was like, hey, you can check it out at hardcorecloser.com. Right. And so you don't think nothing of it. But then again, some of your people are going to go there. They're going to read it and they're going to go, son of a bitch, I'm getting on the elevator.
I know what you're doing to me and I still like it. Darn it.
Getting on the elevator. It's nice though. There's a chair in this one.
There's a chair in this one. Sit down. It's going to be a long ride. That's killer though. So a lot of people though spending $5,000 on Facebook, you must have gone through a lot, or paid advertising in general. It must have gone through a lot of crap. Why didn't you ever stop? Because this is what I see, and like you see too. So people will keep going and start putting money in and then be like, well, 3 months, 15 grand, that didn't work. Or 6 months, this didn't work. Now what do I do? So how did you keep pushing and keep trying to get it? Were you seeing traction and therefore you kept pushing it anyway? Or what was or you're just stubborn?
No, well, so what happened was I was at my friend Kevin Nation's house in 2013, and he introduced me to this dude who I'm now really good friends with, AJ Roberts, right? And AJ, he's like, come over here, man. I'll show you how to run an ad on Facebook, right? And so that was a pretty good AJ impression. Now
that was actually, anyway, I know AJ. That's a really good one.
I nailed that, right? And so he takes a video from my YouTube channel and makes a little woofu for him, and he's like, and put $25 behind it or $100 or something like that. And by the time we went to lunch, I had like 40 leads. And I was like, oh man, this is like really happening right now. And Kevin's like, the guy can sell. So he kind of put me on the spot in front of everybody. So I called them all and was closing them by the time I left Kevin's house that night, right? And I'm forever thankful for AJ for hooking me up like that. But he opened the door to me. It was like, dude, for $100, I got like 50 leads. I'm all over this. The next day. Then I called one of my friends over. I'm like, here, come help me sell this stuff, man. But then, after a while, here's what happened in all reality. There was this like instant gold rush for about a month and a half, 2 months, right? And we took quite a few leads in and we're nurturing them. We didn't have all this elevator to the top and all this stuff in place yet because I was brand new at it, right? I mean, we've evolved quite a bit. But what happened was, I let people calling me a douchebag and all that stuff in the comments and stuff really get to me. So I stopped advertising for a little while. I'm like, they don't love me no more than I go buy my stuff, right? And so I went back to prospecting organically and things like that. But then I realized, about 8 months into it, people are like, I've been watching your stuff for 8 months, man. I'm glad I finally decided to come in here and be a part of this. And after I heard that over and over again, I was like, I just got to push through that 8-month period, right? There's going to be some people calling me names along the way and tell me that I don't sell stuff and I live in mom's basement or whatever they're going to say, right? But I just got to be able to push through that. 8 months from now, I'll see the other side. And once I put my head down and I pushed through it, that's when things really started getting a lot busier, right? And people, when I started ignoring those kind of people and stuff like that, or even when I would fight back with them, like, oh, really? Well, here's this. I posted my paycheck stub for the day or something like that. It's like, oh, really? I can't sell nothing. I should make 20 grand this month. You know what I mean? And it's like, I never faked it till I made it, right? I fought the whole way. And then now we're where we are now. But the biggest thing is definitely pushing through that period. And we all have it, right? Because we've all seen somebody flare up in multi-level marketing, right? It's like, I just got a job with Amway. I'm buying a Ferrari tomorrow, right? Like we've all seen that. And then 2 weeks later, we're like, hey man, can I get some of that soap from my dishwasher? And they're like, oh, I'm not doing Amway anymore.
Yep.
Right? Like, so people are watching you to make sure that if you're claiming to be an expert, if you're claiming to be able to do this, that you're even going to stick with it. Because we live in the ADD generation and most people fall victim to it.
I technically do have ADD, so yeah, that makes perfect sense. I love that you said, though, about your mindset in general, because that stuff does get to you, no matter how, like, cool and, self-esteem you are. When people just be mean online, which, it's the internet, they can do whatever the hell they want, it will actually stop you. So tell me more about how you got past that, because if you actually had enough to, like, stop and be like, okay, I can't do this anymore, you had to get past that somehow. Give somebody advice that's going through that right now.
Well, I used to fight people. And while that may be good for edge rank, by fight, I mean like, argue back and forth with them. But that gives them justification. And while it may give you like some edge rank or some, it help because people want to see the conversation and stuff like that, it really is a waste of time. I find that if someone's mad at you, if you just like post a picture of a cat or maybe a video from YouTube of cats, easily calm down. Cats are pretty calming animals. It's kind of a cool effect that it has on trolls, right? Trolls don't like cats. It's just the thing, right? They just like, oh, shit, it's a cat. I'm out of here. Just leave this guy alone, right? There's something about it. It's like cats don't like cucumbers. So if you're getting trolled by a cat, just grab a cucumber. Like these are things are on the internet. You folks got to pay attention. So
this is worth the whole interview.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
There's a hierarchy. It's like paper, rock, scissors. It's cucumber, cats, trolls, right? It's the same thing, right? You gotta.
My life is complete. Thank you, Ryan. This is awesome.
And so it is hard to deal with that. But here's the thing, like if someone is complaining about it, like, hey, I just like my team now just deletes and block it. I make all the posts on Facebook. They answer all the questions and all the private messages because I can't keep up with it. It takes 6 of us to operate the page. And because people hit us up and we're not going to tell them, hey, pay us or we're not going to help you out. They ask us a question. We're like, oh, here's this and here's a blog post. We're putting them on the elevator to the top. They just happen to be on the free floor, right? They're in the basement. We'll get them there. And so, getting through that mindset of the trolls is like, hey, at first it's going to hurt your feelings, right? The best thing you can do is not acknowledge them, just delete and block them. Or if you want to respond to them in a dignified way. It's like, hey, you know what? Like of all these people and you're over here hating, what does that say about you? We say that all the time. That's a play I took out of Jay-Z's books, like says a lot about you if you're not feeling us, right? So if you don't like what we're doing over here and we're 100,000 strong, like what are you doing? So or tell people to beat us. You don't like what we're doing, take the title from us. That's been a big deal too. Well, hey, people always say if you don't like the government, vote, or if you don't like this, go do something about it. We're trying to do what we can about a problem we see in the marketplace, and it's not going to be for everybody. But if you see a problem too, then by all means, you should go try to handle it or beat us to it.
I love that. Put it to them that way. They'll be like, oh, and then they back away because, 9 times out of 10. Awesome. I know we have to start wrapping up. I didn't realize how fast the time went. Good job, Brian. So the last question I always ask is, what's one action listeners can take this week to help move them forward towards their goal of $1 million?
Take the 10-day hustle, right? I'm throwing y'all out of left field here. It's completely free. It's this thing that I put together about 2 weeks ago. And it's evergreen, so you get on it. It's absolutely free. You go to 10dayhustle.com. You can check out the 10-day hustle hashtag on Facebook. There's tons of people doing it. But if you're going to get into $1 million, you're going to have to discipline yourself to take actions every single day. The 10-day hustle is 10 days of 10 different actions per day. At the end of 10 days, the 100 people that you've talked to, we give you a 100-person prospect list where we've checked everything for you. You're going to absolutely love it. There's nothing for sale. It's 100% free. And just go check it out. Well, that's something we put out there to help people make more money. We've had a lot of people make 40, 50, 100 grand from doing this thing because they got out there. Because look, Jamie, there's a lot of people that watch us on Facebook but don't have any clue what the hell we do for a living. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, Jamie, man, she's really cool. I wonder how she makes money.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Seriously.
But if you were to reach out to them and be like, hey, I help people with this and I do this, or like people's like dude, I need that, or my cousin needs that, right? But if we don't reach out to them, we're not top of mind to them. The 10-day hustle puts you top of mind to 100 people. You can't not make a sale because of it. And the fastest way to get to $1 million is to make some sales, right? Without sales, there's no check exchange and you won't get $1 million.
$1 million sales. Go sell the crap out of this. Okay, perfect. Thanks so much. It was 10dayhustle.com was the website?
That's it.
All right, everybody go check that out. Ryan, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really, really appreciate it. You're fantastic. I took 2 pages of notes.
Awesome. Hey, I'm glad I was on here and hopefully we made everybody laugh. I try to always get everybody, see, there I go being a clown. I always try to get everybody to hopefully laugh more than they get educated, right? Because anybody come on here and drop a bunch of smart stuff. I try to be the smart ass. See, it's totally different. So.
Cats don't like cucumbers. Yep, I'll always remember that. Thank you, Ryan, for coming on. I hope you have an awesome, fantastic, wonderful day. Take care. I hope you enjoyed that interview. And if you want more like it, go to eventualmillionaire.com. If you click on the millionaire case studies, you will see over 200 millionaire interviews. I don't want you to get overwhelmed, of course, but I do want you to pick the one that might make the biggest difference in your business today. So what's something you're struggling with, and take a look and see if one of those could specifically help you. Don't just take information for information's sake. I want you to be able to take the information, have it applicable to you right now. You use it, you take action, you see results, you come back and go, Jamie, that was amazing. That's what I want. So go check out eventualmillionaire.com and click on the millionaire case studies. Thanks.